At precisely 6:40 a.m. on the outskirts of Donetsk, an eerie silence enveloped the fields. Then, without any prior indication, Russia launched 50 tons of 90 tanks, 30 BTRs, and nearly 700 infantry soldiers from a deserted Ukrainian base. Above, 70 suicide drones descended like a torrential downpour, each armed with high explosive warheads targeting trenches and bunkers. This was not a routine patrol. It represented a division-level armored assault, strategically aimed at breaching the western entrance of Donetsk and jeopardizing Ukraine's entire defensive perimeter. In mere seconds, the tranquility would be shattered, and what ensued would serve as a lesson in contemporary warfare. The Russian convoy advanced with assurance, steel tracks grinding into the earth, turrets scanning left and right. For 3 uninterrupted minutes, it appeared invincible. Rows of armored vehicles moved like a hammer poised to strike. However, Ukraine had no desire to confront that hammer directly. Instead, they readied the terrain itself to counterattack. In the days leading up to the assault, combat engineers from Ukraine's 93rd Mechanized Brigade had converted 3 square miles of farmland into a trap. Over 4,200 anti-tank mines were concealed beneath wheat fields, beneath fake tire tracks, and even along routes that seemed like safe escape paths. Each device was meticulously layered, pressure triggered, heat-sensitive, or electronically activated, lying in wait for the first Russian tank to make a critical error. At 6:43 a.m., that moment arrived. The lead T-90 rolled onto what appeared to be a freshly graded farm road. From above, it seemed unblemished, nothing more than dirt and dust. On the ground, it was a kill zone. The explosion obliterated the tank, propelling its turret more than 100 feet into the air and crashing it into a nearby trench line. The shockwave crippled communications in the vehicles behind it, and chaos erupted immediately. Russian crews attempted to maneuver out, but every turn resulted in another buried charge. Within seconds, the ideal formation had dissolved into smoke and fire. What had initially appeared to be a decisive armored thrust was already disintegrating, one detonation at a time. The first explosion was merely the beginning. As the lead tank disappeared in flames, Ukrainian drone operators intensified their control over the kill zone. From concealed basements miles away, they navigated small quadcopters low through the smoke, their sights fixed on Russian armor. With a flick of a switch, one operator activated a buried secondary mine. Explosion tore through a BTR filled with squad leaders. Another drone plunged directly into the communications vehicle. At the heart of the column, its shaped charge flipped the truck as if it were a toy. Suddenly, Russian command was left blind and leaderless. Panic surged through the formation. Tank crews pressed their throttles, desperate to escape the minefield. Drivers identified narrow, flat corridors in the fields, lanes that appeared to be safe exits carved into the earth. They sped toward them, oblivious that those very corridors were bait. Russia versus Ukraine war. Ukrainian engineers had rigged them with delayed pressure mines designed to activate only after the third or fourth vehicle had passed. One by one, the first tanks successfully navigated through, creating the illusion of safety. However, when the next track giant crossed, the ground erupted, flames and steel engulfing the escape lanes, transforming them into corridors of fire. Within minutes, the farmland had become a furnace. Russian armor that had advanced in perfect symmetry now burned in crooked lines. Turrets twisted, hatches blasted open. Columns of black smoke rose hundreds of feet into the morning sky. marking the graveyard of the mechanized assault. Infantry poured out of their carriers, stumbling through wheat fields that had turned into killing grounds. Some attempted to regroup, while others simply fled, clutching rifles against the roar of detonations that erupted from every direction. From above, Ukrainian drones circled like vultures,